In this episode of Did You Hear, Bryan Voell pops by to chat with Dave about music and movies in the park. Then, Mica Elgin-Vi of modern-day Fitzgerald joins the conversation. Dave then shares an FYI about books in español.
Welcome to another edition of Did You Hear, the Johnson County Library podcast, where we tell you what we recommend and what's happening.
And what is happening now, Dave?
Well, Bryan Voell, our local arts librarian, I'll tell you. And it's kind of funny that you don't know what we're talking about when I invited you here to...
I'm feigning ignorance.
We're going to talk about movies and music in the park. Some say it's music and movies in the park, right?
Yes.
Just depending on what you value more, I suppose.
Speaking technically, purely from a technical perspective, the music comes first and then the movie. So, but some people just come for the movie. Some people just come for the music. Some people come for both.
And that's okay.
That is perfectly fine.
Either way, we're giving you an opportunity to go out on a hopefully it's not raining. Hopefully there's not hail. But let's pretend like it's a perfect world and it's a lovely night. You get to go put a picnic blanket down or bring your chairs. You're under the stars. You get to listen to really good music, and then you get to stay for a movie.
That sounds great to me.
That about sums it up, right?
Especially since we have the full spectrum of music in 3 performances, which is totally amazing. We have, on one hand, we've got melodic pop rock.
Excellent.
And then from there we go to traditional, authentic country music. From there we go to Latin jazz music.
Wow.
So we are all over the map.
And then it sounds like there's a couple artists that we didn't book, but our partners down at Gardner booked.
Yes.
And it sounds like from the names that it's power pop, but could be totally wrong.
Yes. Star 5 Klinger and Wonder Fuzz.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the details right away. Friday, June 14th, it's Space Jam, and that will be shown at the Commons at Lenexa City Center. And everything starts at 8 p.m. There's lawn games, and the musical guest is modern-day Fitzgerald. And so we are going to have a segment in We Recommend with an interview with Mica Elgin-Vi of modern-day Fitzgerald, or MDF, as the kids say. A little bit later. So just real shortly, give us the thumbnail sketch of what they're all about.
Modern Day Fitzgerald is a 4-piece local Kansas City band, melodic pop rock, led by lead singer and songwriter Mica Elgin-Vi. There's also Zach Taylor and brothers Scott and Kyle East filling out the remainder of the band there. So,
excellent.
We've got a great interview with Mica coming up shortly.
So after the music, we jump right into the movie Space Jam, and that is about Swackhammer, an evil alien theme park owner, needs a new attraction at Moron Mountain when his gang, the Nerdlucks, head to Earth to kidnap Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes. Bugs challenges them to a basketball game to determine their fate. The aliens agree, but they steal the powers of NBA basketball players, including Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, and Michael Jordan. Oh, no, Bugs gets some help from superstar Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a great way to kick off our summer series.
I have to say that I am not of the age that this movie was just, but for some, this was the movie of their youth.
For some, this is a timeless, ageless classic. They would probably say it doesn't matter how old you are.
Right. And I've heard rumors that there's going to be a remake and maybe LeBron James takes the Michael Jordan role. I don't know.
Sounds like it would be in the works.
Let's jump to night number 2. Apollo 13 will be shown at Buffalo Meadows Park in Lenexa. And once again, everything starts at 8 p.m. And the musical guest is Sarah Morgan. Tell us
Sarah
about her.
Morgan. So what better way to lead into a movie about Apollo 13 than country and western music from Kansas City? I think it's a perfect fit. Sarah Morgan is a country artist in the vein of Dolly Parton, Reba McEntire, and Loretta Lynn.
Wow.
She just released a brand new single called Church in a Bar. And this is her first single from an upcoming album that does not yet have a name, but she's been working on it for a while. So very excited about Sarah Morgan.
Oh, fantastic. And so Apollo 13, in case you haven't seen this great movie, it is the Hollywood drama based on the events of the Apollo 13 lunar mission. Astronauts Jim Lovell, Fred Haise, and Jack Swigert find everything going according to plan after leaving Earth's orbit. However, when an oxygen tank explodes, the scheduled moon landing is called off. Subsequent tensions within the crew and numerous technical problems threaten both the astronauts' survival and their safe return to Earth. Little quick side story. So I used to teach group communication. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I know it now.
So one of the projects I would have my students do is I had this list of movies where I like Poseidon Adventure and several others, but this was one of them. And the idea was to see how in the real world people collaborate and communicate and try to solve problems as a group. And, you know, when you're trapped in space,
Yes.
and also having to work with, Houston on the ground, it's life and death. So, interesting.
Yes, and we won't give the ending away. Needless to say, it is not a complete downer. There is adventure and real life science to be learned.
It is
and enjoyed.
It's fun.
Yes.
Whereas Space Jam's probably for the younger kids, this one, get those tweens out there for this one, I would say.
I agree.
Next is Friday, August the 16th, Wall-E. Wall-E. And that will be shown at Electric Park in Lenexa with the Kansas City Latin Jazz All-Stars. But we also have another showing that night, and that is at Cornerstone Park in Gardner. And at Cornerstone Park and Gardner, our musical artist is Right on Red. So what can we expect from both of those bands?
Well, I will tell you about the Kansas City Latin Jazz All-Stars.
Okay.
We are going to really blow out this series. Actually, it is the penultimate program to this series is going to be a big one. The Kansas City Latin Jazz All-Stars. This is a 10-piece collaborative project of musicians with long-standing presence and impact in contemporary Afro-Latin American music, salsa, and Latin jazz in Kansas City and the Midwest.
Can you name all 10 instruments?
Well, I can give you an overview of what what to expect.
Sure.
We can expect trumpets, trombones, bongos, a sax, I think just one sax, congas, and more.
Wow.
So this is really going to be a dance party blowout.
Fantastic. And so the second band that we have that is performing at Cornerstone Park in Gardner is Right on Red. What can you tell us about them, Brian?
Right on Red is a crowd-pleasing rock band out of Kansas City, and they do a variety of both covers and original songs.
And so after both musical acts at both of these venues, you'll get to see the movie Wall-E. And of course, that's a G-rated movie from 2008. It's an Oscar-winning CGI animated delight about the misadventures of the last robot on Earth circa 2800, who romances a sleek, high-tech android.
That's right up my alley. In fact, that is a really, really terrific movie.
Yeah, for sure. It's got a lot of good lessons and messages, and it's one of those movies that's just as enjoyable for the adults as it is for the kids. There's so much adult humor in it that, you'll be laughing at some point when your kids aren't, and your kids will be laughing at times that you aren't. Let's jump to September the 20th. The movie that we'll be showing is Inside Out. This is occurring at 2 different locations once again. So one location is the Commons at Lenexa Civic Campus, and the musical guest for that location is Stage 5 Klinger. Our other location is Cornerstone Park again in Gardner, and our musical guest is Wonder Fuzz. So, Brian, what can you tell us about those two? So, Stage 5 Klinger.
Stage 5 Klinger is a cover band covering 4 decades-ish of solid rock and roll music, rock and roll music.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
surely to be a crowd-pleasing
fan favorite.
band. Yes.
And Wonder Fuzz.
Wonder Fuzz. They are also a rock band, an ensemble, rock ensemble, as I like to say.
Sure.
They do a combination of originals and covers.
Yeah, it's sad that they have tried to learn all the different genres of rock and roll and did a lot of covers, and now they write their own music. But I think you're probably going to hear a little of both.
Okay.
And
I hope we hear some twee death metal in there too.
Twee death metal. Okay, so the movie for that night is Inside Out. And you might very well ask me, Brian, what is that movie all about?
What is that all about, Dave?
Well, I'll tell you. Inside Out is about a little girl named Riley.
Yes.
And she is happy and a hockey-loving 11-year-old Midwestern girl. But her world gets turned upside down when she and her parents move to San Francisco. Which I'm guessing they think there's probably no hockey there, but they're the San Jose Sharks, which is a professional hockey team. So I would think they're probably. I'm already trying to put holes into this plot, and I can't just let this movie.
And only a heartless human being could poke holes into the plot of Inside Out.
So let's continue. Riley's emotions, led by Joy, Amy Poehler, by the way.
Yes.
Try to guide her through this difficult, life-changing event. However, the stress of the move brings sadness, and that's a character's name, to the forefront. When joy and sadness are inadvertently swept into the far reaches of Riley's mind, the only emotions left in headquarters are anger, fear, and disgust.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, this one hits close to home. As a father of a 5.5-year-old we're just about to move ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see a lot of these things in play.
Joy,
come to life.
sadness.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, once again, this is Music and Movies in the Park. You can expect a high-quality musical performance followed by a fantastic family movie.
Free of charge.
Free of charge. And, you provide the seat, and we will try to do our best to make the weather cooperate, but we really have very little to do with that.
Oh, Dave, we should also mention our partners for this series. We are partnering with the Lenexa Parks and Recreation, the Gardner Parks and Recreation as well. So without them, this series would not be possible.
So be sure to save the dates: June the 14th, July the 19th, August 16th, and September the 20th. All of these dates are Friday, and all of the bands start at 8 p.m. every night.
That's correct.
And we have the movie following shortly after, or do we wait a bit?
Yeah, figure once it gets dark, around 9:15-ish, the music will go on for about an hour, and then there's about a 15-minute setup time for the movie. So about 9:15-ish.
Yeah, and Brian, as you mentioned, we have partners, and so a lot of these partners have mentioned that festivities actually begin a little earlier, and so to get the exact time that you should be out there to have a little fun can be found on our website. Go to jocolibrary.org/events. From the files of I Didn't Know the Library Did That, did you know that we have books in Spanish at every single location? It's true. You can even go to our catalog and have any Spanish title sent to your favorite location. Welcome back to Did You Hear, the Johnson County Library's podcast, and we are ready for our We Recommend segment. But before we jump into that, I would like to read something from Modern Day Fitzgerald's YouTube post, and they wrote, "We are gentlemen who perform music with proper etiquette. Our sound is a mixture of beach rock from the late 50s and early 60s with a sophisticated approach to jazzy blues chord progression and true lyrical content written by Mica Elgin-Vi." Now it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome Mica Elgin-Vi. Did you write that?
Let's pretend I didn't and say someone wrote that.
No, that's
I think
fantastic.
it's a well written statement.
I appreciate that.
I do too. And the third voice that you're hearing is...
This is Bryan Voell. I am the local arts librarian here at the Johnson County Library.
Welcome, Bryan. Welcome, Mica.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to this discussion about a band that is a local music artist. We like to highlight, lift up, and praise local musicians. And wow, what a YouTube channel! You have like over 30, maybe 50 videos.
Yes, that is correct. I mean, for me overall, like, as much as I can do a lot with music, and as much as I can do a lot with, posting as much music as I can, the matter of the fact is that, like, it's not enough in this current day of age, which it's totally fine. It's like, it's great because there's more things to show off and everything. So my main thing is to, like, do my best to gain and, like, show off more exposure of not only the brand but also myself as well. So
sure.
YouTube is a great outlet. Facebook is my favorite outlet. Instagram too as well.
Sure.
So just the fact of, like, just showing more content out to, like, not only for me, like, not only build our particular brand itself, not necessarily band but brand itself, but also building value onto others in our music scene in Kansas City, but also other musicians as well.
So, Mica, I want to ask you about your upcoming performance. It's part of Johnson County Library's Music and Movies in the Park series. So this has been going on for the past few years, and we get an increased crowd with this series every year. So tell us about the band, Modern Day Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
What can people expect from a show?
So for us, in a live setting, we're definitely a performance-based band. It's so hard to describe our band because we've evolved so much. But I guess right now for us, it's more of like you're gonna expect not just necessarily a rock show of some sort. You're also gonna expect, like, a little bit more. I don't want to say theatrics, because when you think theatrics, you think like Phantom of the Opera or
Kiss.
Something like Andrew Lloyd Webber stuff. But it's going to be more of, like, I guess, just more energy, more and like interaction, just a lot of positive energy on stage itself too. Because like, we're not the kind of band that, like, I don't know, like, we're just very, very positive on stage as well. So we love to interact with each other on stage to show that, like, like, sometimes things will mess up, which it goes with the show and goes with the territory. And we love to embrace the mistakes as personalities of the band. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, we love to, interact with, like, also the audience as well. I think last time we played in South by Southwest, I think a year ago, we played one of our last songs, and I decided to jump off the stage and dance with someone, and we just, like, did a little swing dance kind of thing. So, awesome. Depending on the crowd, depending on everybody too. But we're just gonna be just having a blast, having fun, and everything. So
Yeah, one of your videos online, you opened up for the Romantics.
Yeah.
One of the classic 80s bands. And it looked like you were having a lot of fun, and there was definitely a lot of energy. It's definitely rock and roll.
So who's in the band?
just me, only me. I do everything. No, of course, one of my good friends, Sean East, is in the band. He's the drummer. Also, as well, he does some of our video stuff as well. He works in the Kansas City film scene as well.
Okay.
His brother Kyle East is on keyboard as well. And then my good friend Noah. Oh, he's gonna be really mad at me if I can pronounce his last name. Noah Bartelt. Sorry, Noah. He is in the band The UKs.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was Bartlett.
Yeah. You were completely right. Bartlett, yes.
Bartlett, okay.
You were completely right. It's Noah Bartlett. He's the lead singer of The UKs, and he's also has joined the band as, just putting some extra creativity into it.
Oh, okay. So The UK is another band that we have featured on our local music project.
Yeah.
Shout out to the UKs.
Yes, the
and
UKs.
you can always go to jocolibrary.org. Every Friday, we feature an artist, whether that is a artist that is exhibiting their works in our gallery space or musicians. And we have a ton of musicians because Bryan does a great job of providing interviews and access to the music of local artists.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Yeah, that's all true. I want to ask you about because you seem to really enjoy all aspects of the creative process. I mean, you not only play, write, and perform music, you write reviews, you conduct interviews, you create videos, and you educate and advocate. So I want to know, what have you learned about your own creative process from all of the interviews that you've done and behind the scenes views that we get?
It's funny that you mention that. I wrote a post a while back is like what motivates you to create.
Yeah.
And you have different different people put different answers of to escape the current world at the moment, to voice out your own opinions, to even reflect on yourself as well. For me, I've always been a creative person since forever ago. I mean, before I even done music, I done film, and then when I done that, I done music. So it's just like a creative outlet for myself. So, and at the same time too, is that I see a lot of not only musicians but film directors, cinematographers, to even writers, and they've created so much things out of that. And at the same time, seeing the community they created out of that. And I love every aspect of that. One of my favorite things is, of course, the band's Modern Day Fitzgerald. I'm a big fan of F. Scott Fitzgerald. So during Paris in the 20s, a lot of the writers, including painters and everything, they including Hemingway, Fitzgerald, and they write throughout the evening and then they party throughout the night, and but it's the idea of creating that community. And I read The Movable Feast, where Hemingway was talking about how he was helping Fitzgerald writing and talking about his own distractions and helping each other out. So after seeing that and seeing that the music community has that, I would love to create that kind of community where you can not necessarily compete against each other, but help each other out and create even more. So
when you are writing music,
yes,
so you balance the community with what I would imagine to be a solitary process of writing music, or is that not accurate?
It's always different when it comes to my own writing itself too. real talk, when I first started the project Modern Day Fitzgerald, it was supposed to be like my own calling green light for a girl that I used to date, and it was one of those things where it's like, maybe if I created a band and she hears about the band but doesn't know who it was, and then she goes to the show and realizes it's me. It's like, hi. No. Well, again, I was super young.
It happens to the super old too.
so that was my first like thing, and it did happen, crazy enough. But throughout the process, though, it's like when I started writing, it was in a very state of mind of like being nostalgic and like going back to the past where I want to relive it all the time, and like I never focus on the present, never focus on the future, but only the past, where it's like I wish I could redo this, wish I could done that. And most of my songs are all about that. And it's funny too, like throughout the years when you started writing, and then like you just realize like, oh no, I'm doing this and this is not healthy. And then throughout the writing process, you kind of learn who you are as a person and knowing thyself, and then later on, like, becoming a better human being throughout. So I'm doing my best not living in the past, but more of the more in the moment. So I'm trying to do better on that.
Great. Yeah. In terms of the craft of writing songs, how do you see your songs as having evolved?
Tough question. It's more of like this. Like at the very beginning when I started writing songs, I tried so hard to be very intricate kind of thing, where it's like, okay, maybe we'll go ahead and have like this big symphonic orchestra comes in and do all this stuff, or I want to focus more on I want to like say a lot of words in one little like there's different things, but I was very, very intricate and very like as I don't know, like I was very out there. So I tried to be like Radiohead, I tried to be someone else, but then I realized like in order to get my point across, but at the same time have the listener being able to like, oh, this is very cool, or this is very listenable, I have to make it minimal and minimize, like not minimizing the craft, but more of like turning my own I guess in layman's terms, more of like creating pop songs out of anything. And a lot of people have negative connotation to pop songs because, like you think of top 40, but my interpretation of pop songs are more of like, yes, popular melodies, but at the same time, like, kind of gets your head bobbing. But the point of it is like, how can you make meaningful words, meaningful lyrics, and meaningful melodies, but then put into a 3-minute like pop song.
Sure.
And you have like, of course, the Romantics have done that as well. You have Kiss has done that as well too. So it's not a bad thing of creating pop songs itself. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, I've been from like being very intricate as like Mozart to being very minimal and simple itself.
Sure.
You have any other questions?
Well,
I can. Well, because I can jump into the fun stuff.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, do you have a name for your guitar?
Actually, yes.
What's the name?
Her name is Amelia.
Oh, it's a she.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. All right. So, surprise, we're going to play a little game. You're going to play against Bryan here.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right.
Yikes.
But this game, I don't necessarily have a name for it, but it's whose album is it? And I'm going to give you 2 bands, and they have similar names, but they're very, very, very different bands.
Yeah.
But ironically, all the album titles kind of sound similar.
Okay.
So you have to tell me if the album is by Iron Maiden or Iron and Wine.
Okay.
Are you game?
Okay. I am game. I think we can do this.
I think you can do this.
Yeah.
Album number 1. Okay. Ghost on Ghost. Is it Iron and Wine or Iron Maiden?
I'm going to say Iron and Wine.
I was gonna say Iron and Wine.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ghost on Ghost is Iron and Wine.
Yeah.
Beast Epic.
Iron Maiden.
Definitely Iron Maiden.
I am sorry, that is incorrect.
That's definitely
Again,
a trick question.
Oh, man.
it is Iron and Wine. Okay, album number 3.
Yeah.
Life After Death. Is it Iron Maiden or Iron and Wine?
I'm gonna say Iron and Maiden.
I'm gonna agree with you.
It is Iron Maiden. Very good.
Goodness,
Yeah.
Okay.
Is somebody keeping score out there? Okay.
Well, I think we're both tied.
You're tied.
I think so.
Saying, yeah, that.
I know.
Okay. Album number 4. Somewhere in Time.
Wow.
Oh goodness.
I'm gonna go with Iron and Wine on this one.
Cool. I'm gonna say Iron Maiden. I'm gonna be totally different.
Iron Maiden.
See?
Our endless numbered days.
That's Iron and Wine.
He sounds pretty confident.
I know. I'll say Iron and Wine.
It is Iron and Wine.
Okay.
That one I knew.
The Creek Drank the Cradle.
That's definitely an Iron Maiden song. Like, that's definitely an Iron Maiden album.
I would love to hear an Iron Maiden album called The Creek Drank the Cradle. Is that what it is? That sounds like boy, that could go either way. I'll go with Iron and Wine.
Iron and Wine is correct.
Oh, now we're tied
You're
again.
tied again.
Oh, dang
Okay. The Book of Souls.
Oh, that's
I'm gonna let you answer first, so because I may be different.
because I think I know this one.
Okay, go for it.
I think that's Maiden.
Okay, dang, I was gonna say Maiden too, but I'll be different. I'll say Wine.
It is Iron Maiden.
Okay.
I can see the album cover, like the cartoonish monster
Yes.
skeleton.
Agreed.
Fear of the Dark.
Oh,
That's an album?
That's an album. Fear of the Dark.
I want to say Iron and Wine.
I'll say Maiden.
It's Iron Maiden.
Okay, now I'm losing. Okay.
There's only 2 more. So, Around the Well.
Iron and Wine.
Yeah.
Hopefully I could
Gotta
Iron and
agree.
Wine is
Yeah.
correct. And the last one, Brave New World.
I'm gonna say Iron Maiden.
Okay, I'll go with Iron and Wine.
It is
Yeah.
Iron Maiden. I think
yeah.
so.
So we're tied.
Is that right? You know, the funny thing is, back when I was in junior high, way long ago, there was this kid that was just awesome at reproducing all the Iron Maiden album covers. And if you've ever seen them, they're just
Yeah, they're
really
very intricate, yeah.
Intricate,
Yeah.
right? It's some pretty impressive artwork.
Yeah.
That guy went on to be a legend in the Kansas City big band scene, Dave Stevens. Right?
Snap.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I think that kind of ties us back into this whole thing that, you know, the creative process and that outlet that you have and where you channel it. And it sounds
totally
like
agree.
yeah.
And it's like, and it's important too because everyone has their own outlet of, you know, just to like release like either positive or negative energy out, and of course in a positive sense. Like, you know, people can either go home, play video games, read a book, or, you know, decide to get a group of friends and create music, or, you know, make some like videos or film or something. And like I was talking to we had rehearsals the other day, and Sean, my drummer, just mentioned like, hey, like I'm having fun, this is fun, and we're like mid-20s something year old kids, and we're like, you know, just the idea of like, when you think about it, like this is something that a 8th grader to someone in high school will do, just like go like to someone's house and play songs and everything, either learning covers or making their own songs. But we're adults now, and we're like, oh yeah, we're having fun, and I think that's just the most important thing to do.
Yeah. Well, we should mention again when and where folks can see Modern Day Fitzgerald. It's part of our music and movies in the park.
I prefer music and movies in the park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where and when, Brian?
Yes, Friday, June 14th at the Lenexa in the Lenexa Commons area. So the new library, the new Lenexa City Center library will be open by then, June 2nd.
Excellent.
So this is a great way to inaugurate that library. So we are very excited to have Modern Day Fitzgerald with us.
Have you seen that venue?
I have not yet.
Oh,
Okay.
so it's a great little amphitheater type of area, and it looks like they've done a lot to kind of help the sound by planting a lot of trees and raised beds and things like that.
I love it.
So a lot of natural sound dampening.
Yeah.
So it should be top-notch sound. It's summer. Hopefully it won't rain. And,
Right.
in addition to seeing some top-notch rock and roll, you get to see a movie too. And what was the movie again that night?
Space Jam.
Is it Space Jam?
I remember this particularly in the emails.
It's Space Jam. Says the guy who doesn't work for the library. But we thank you for knowing
Look,
that.
anything about Looney Tunes or Michael Jordan, I will remember that just like that.
Thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you had fun.
I had a blast.
And if you'd like a copy of my now famous game, Iron and Wine or Iron Maiden, you're welcome.
Yes, I would love it, to be honest. Yes.
It's a great way to make new friends.
They should tour together.
Oh,
Definitely.
that sounds like a great idea. Stadium tours for that, yeah.
And somebody should do a mashup.
Where can people go to listen to your music aside from Johnson County Library, where you can just simply
Only listen there. Only.
well, if you go to our website and do a search for Mica Elgin-Vi, you will find a written interview and embedded posts of music from all sorts of different places. Is it just YouTube or is it SoundCloud?
So
what do
we're
we have
on.
from you?
So not only that we're on, of course, YouTube itself. We're also on Spotify. So if you're on Spotify, make sure to click that follow button. So because we are releasing some new music coming up soon. So Spotify, definitely iTunes, definitely. Honestly, go wherever you can stream for free. I'm all for that. I just want you guys to enjoy the songs and have fun with it.
For more episodes of Did You Hear, go to the Johnson County Library website, jocolibrary.org/didyouhear.